breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you today, every Monday, every Thursday during the Viking season, which unfortunately is kaput. It's over. But brought to you every Monday during the season and Thursdays by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN and available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is AJ Fredrickson. He's done a great job all season with our clips and our interviews, putting the show together. AJ, it was a tough day at US Bank Stadium, and I think all of our hope was to get by the Giants and then go to San Francisco, and that was going to be really tough regardless. But as I said, thought they'd at least get by the Giants, who played a great game, very well-coached team, several superstars in the making or already there in Daniel Jones, their quarterback, Saquon Barkley, great Pro Bowl running back, and Dexter Lawrence, a game wrecker on their defensive line. They had a couple of reinforcements back in the secondary, in Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson. They made a difference. That Giant team, very well coached, as I said, and had a great game plan that the Vikings defense had really no answers for. Offensively, the Vikings moved the ball reasonably well. They weren't able to run it great, especially with their offensive line undermanned, having lost Brian O'Neill. That was a huge loss for this football team late in the season. Garrett Bradbury came back from his back injury, and he had a tough time with Dexter Lawrence, as everybody does. And so it just made it tough, I think, for the offensive line to hang in there. And then offensively, at the end of the game, of course, a rather puzzling play, shall we say, by Kirk Cousins. And I think it's unfortunate because I thought Kirk had his best season here with the Vikings.
Yeah.
A Pro Bowl season, 8 come-from-behind victories. Such an exciting regular season, as we know, with dramatic finishes. And then it comes down to 4th and 8, and really 3rd and 8, the play before, when he threw it a little behind KJ Osborne, who was open. The Giants able to break it up, and then brings up 4th and 8. Vikings are down 7 in the last little over 2 minutes to go. And unfortunately, Kirk reverted back to check down Kirk. Yeah. Now, I know after the game he said, and we're going to hear from him later, I know he said that he was under pressure, thought he was going to get sacked, so he wanted to at least put the ball in play. But to me, AJ, I'm going to take a shot to the best receiver in the NFL, in Justin Jefferson, who amazingly had not had a catch in the fourth quarter of this game and only had 3 targets in the second half after having 6 catches on the first 2 drives. It was just bizarre the way they utilized Jefferson in this game. As I said, your best player, you've got to get him the ball in crunch time, and they don't throw any balls to him on the last 2 drives, and especially on those last 2 plays on 3rd and 8 and 4th and 8. So that's one of my big takeaways from this game, that a lost opportunity to take a shot with your best player.
Yeah, it's so puzzling that that's how it ends, because like you said, I agree with you that Kirk, this is his best season, not even just statistically, but like X factor, like the genetic, or like the stuff you don't see on paper, essentially. He kind of checked all the boxes. We saw the swagger this year. He kind of came out of his shell. He was slinging it around, even though the stats may have dissipated a little bit compared to what we've seen. He was getting the job done. And so to me, it's like he wrote this amazing essay for school, and it's typed out, and it's 10 pages, and it's perfect. And then he gets there to class, and he's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to write the final sentence. And he scribbled something in with pencil, and it just wrecks the entire thing. You got to remember the rest of the essay, because the thesis is perfect, and the punctuation is phenomenal. It's just that final sentence is what everybody's going to remember, because that is the pinnacle of the season. And you're like, how do you not go to JJ?
Right.
Kirk had his explanation, and it's easy for me as a guy sitting on the couch miles away who's not even close to his athletic ability to criticize him. But, how do you not throw to JJ?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. And I think, or Osborne or Thielen,
Yeah.
they're all running routes that are deep enough to get the first down. And I'll also throw a little blame on Kevin O'Connell because why would you even have Hawkinson, who had a great game and was really the go-to guy with a terrific day? Why would you even have him running a 3-yard route?
That was my first
Get him
thing.
to 9 yards, 1 yard past the sticks. So it was, as we said, just a bizarre call, a bizarre execution by Cousins, and that's playoff pressure for you. And also, he did have Dexter Lawrence bearing down on him.
Yeah.
But still, throw it up for JJ. JJ even said, I think I might have had a seam.
That's not great to hear.
Yeah, that's tough to hear. So just a tough game. We know the Vikings are a good football team with a potentially great offense if the offensive line is at full strength and if Cousins plays at the top of his game. And as I said, I thought he had a really good game under immense pressure, took 11 hits in the game. But the loss of O'Neal was costly. I think Bradbury wore down from having not played, and Lawrence was coming hard at the end, and it was just really tough. But they still had a chance, and they still rallied back, and they fought back from that 17-7 deficit. Again, it ultimately comes down to Cousins not executing that last play and the defense really having a tough time, as they have had most of the year. I don't know how Ed Donatel, the defensive coordinator, survives this. I think they need a change at defensive coordinator. I think they need to get more team speed on the field. And that can come in a lot of ways, and we'll discuss that in terms of improvements for this team. Part of it's going to come from this year's draft, where 3 of the top 5 picks were on the injured list at the end of the season, talking about Lewis Cine, the safety. I think he's a better player than Cam Bynum, who does not react well at times. And we saw that on Saquon Barkley's touchdown run. You'll see it on the replay. I think that Caleb Evans did some really good things when he was in there. He went down. Andrew Booth Jr., the second-round pick, didn't have a chance to do much. Was hurt a lot this year, but if he can come back healthy, those are 3 guys that can really help that defense, and particularly the secondary that needs help. I think they need help at inside linebacker. I don't think Jordan Hicks is quick enough to run with guys like Barkley out of the backfield or to spy on a Daniel Jones. I thought Eric Kendricks, he's a Pro Bowl linebacker. He's a great player, but I thought he had his struggles from time to time adjusting to the new defense, the 3-4, when he's played 4-3 all through his career. And so there are several things I think that can happen for this team. And there are going to be some free agents they're going to have to deal with, and a tougher schedule next year, and not as many home games. So a lot of stuff on the horizon. But first of all, we got to put the postmortem on yesterday's game. A disappointing playoff loss to the New York Giants, frustrating loss. And let's start early in the ball game. Vikings, great out of the chute. Terrific opening drive, 12 plays, 75 yards. TJ Hawkinson, I mentioned, had a terrific game. 10 catches, 129 yards. And here's a play, a third down catch that helped set up that first touchdown for the Vikings.
Everybody else, 7 DBs.
Cousins rolling, throwing, catches made, and a first down. It is T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end they acquired midseason, and a trade from Detroit, and the drive continues.
A fantastic trade by Detroit, we will say. And he's one of the reasons to be optimistic for next year. He'll have a full season in the offense. You talk about Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne, Hawkinson, Dalvin Cook. I think we may have seen the last of Alexander Madison, who's going to be a free agent. They probably won't be able to afford him, but you never know what the market's going to bear. And the offensive line, I think, has the capabilities with all these high draft choices. Ed Ingram should be better next year. But then Bradbury's a free agent too, so we'll see how they handle that. But that particular catch by Hawkinson was followed by a Justin Jefferson catch down to almost into the end zone. We thought he scored, but they marked him just short, and then Kirk Cousins took it in.
Cousins going to sneak it up, forward in there, and waiting for the signal. He's in. Touchdown, Minnesota.
So as we progressed in the game and we go forward, the Giants are doing some good things, moving the ball. They score on their first drive to answer the Vikings right out of the chute, which I thought was very big for Daniel Jones and for that offense. Jones easily escaping pressure, being able to run the ball. Again, 17 carries for the quarterback in this game, 78 yards was their leading rusher, and also threw for 301 and 2 touchdowns. I think he had a great game. He was the star of the game.
Did you see I don't know if you saw the stat that they threw up after the final whistle? It was a historic performance by him.
Yes, it was.
The first player in NFL playoff history to ever throw for over 300 yards, rush for over 70, and throw for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
It took a historic performance to end the Vikings season.
And it did, and he did it. But again, we have to question the philosophy and the game planning and the adjustments and the team speed. I think kind of a hidden factor in this game, Brian Asamoah, the third-round pick, who played a fair amount in the last Giants game and has a lot of speed, he suffered a concussion in the first half, was not able to play on defense in the second half, and even towards the end of the first half. And I think that was costly to the Vikings, being able to not have him on the field. He may have had a better opportunity to contain Jones and Barkley in this game. So here was an interesting sequence. The Giants, game 7-7, and talk about Isaiah Hodgins. He's a guy, he was cut by Buffalo in midseason. You talk about the Vikings secondary. He comes into the game with 33 catches on the season, and he caught 8 balls against the Vikings last time on Christmas Eve. And here in this game, he goes out and catches 8 for 105 and a touchdown, his first 100-yard career day, and this was his touchdown catch. But I also want you to notice on the play, the left tackle, Andrew Thomas, who false starts and it doesn't get called.
Jones going end zone, caught for the touchdown. It's Isaiah Hodgins.
And on that play, Zadarius Smith, for example, stopped his pass rush because he thought for sure it was going to be called a false start. Lesson learned there. You can't ever necessarily trust the officials, which also kind of brings me to the point of talking about Zadarius Smith in particular, who was a guy in the first half of the season was playing so well. He was one of the league leaders in sacks and in pressures. But over the last 8 games, he had a half a sack as he dealt with a knee injury. But he sat out the Bears game, and we thought he'd be back to full strength for this game. But again, really was ineffective. Danielle Hunter was okay, but he was playing against a shaky tackle in Evan Neal. Hunter had a sack and 2 quarterback hits, but we expected more out of a big-time player such as Danielle Hunter. Mm-hmm. So we knew, and we've talked about this all season, the key to the Vikings defense, Hunter and Zadarius Smith, putting pressure on the quarterback, being able to protect that secondary that was undermanned. That didn't happen yesterday, and that's a big part of the reason why Daniel Jones threw for over 300 again. So the touchdown to Hodgins makes it 14-7. The Giants add a field goal to get to 17-7. Vikings down 10 at that point, and then put together a good drive, 8 plays, 75 yards, and culminated with KJ Osborne and a touchdown catch.
On first and goal, Cousins looking, firing, caught. Osborne is in for the touchdown.
So let's take a second here before we finish our highlights and talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. It's time to visit your Select Minnesota GMC dealers and hit the turf in a truck that's designed to tackle the toughest proving grounds. That's the GMC Sierra SLE. It's bold, precise, and capable. Sierra comes standard with a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine, delivering 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Or call a winning play with an available 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And when it comes to comfort and refinement, climb in and discover the convenience of the standard 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. And don't forget, Sierra is truly the MVP. With the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate, it's the new year and a great time to step up to the professional-grade season. A great year for the Vikings. Unfortunately, fell short. But test drive a new GMC Sierra SLE today. The year's best selection is available now at your select Minnesota GMC dealers or online at TwinCitiesBuickGMC.com. So as we progress, 17-14 at the half, the Giants come right out, third quarter, boom, down the field. And Saquon Barkley is performing very well in this game and attracting lots of attention. So the Giants run a play fake to Barkley and set up an easy touchdown pass from Daniel Jones to Daniel Bellinger, the tight end.
Jones has a man wide open. It's caught by Bellinger for the touchdown.
And we noticed that Patrick Peterson, who was the Vikings' best cover corner this season, gave up 2 touchdowns in this game. Patrick, another free agent on the team. And they also needed a better game out of him. Besides, we know Shannon Sullivan has been shaky all year. They picked on him Sunday, also picked on Duke Shelley. As I said, the reinforcements need to come, and I think it also needs to come via the NFL draft in April. The Vikings will pick 23rd in the first round, and I would certainly not be surprised if they took a cornerback once again to beef up that secondary where injuries happen. Cam Dantzler, another guy, had a good start to the season. We had some higher hopes for Cam, and then he had that ankle injury, tried to come back from it, was not playing well, and again, sat out this last game on the inactive list. So he ended up being a disappointment this year in his third season. I don't know how they can really count on Cam Dantzler to be a real effective player for them going forward either. So I think the draft's going to be really important. So, as we said, Giants up 24-14. Vikings answer. Have a nice drive. As I said, Kirk Cousins is having a good day. He's taken hits and 11 quarterback hits, but he's hanging in there, and he hits Irv Smith Jr. on a touchdown pass.
Spread the ball around.
Go quick here. Penalty flies. Cousin. End zone. Smith. He's in. Touchdown. Let's see what the penalty is, so hang on.
And that was a hold on the defense, so it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. So 24-21, 7:46 left in the third. Plenty of time in the game, no doubt. And as we move forward into the fourth quarter, the Vikings, early fourth quarter, and here was a really critical point in the game, I thought. And we talked about false starts, the one that was not called on the Giants on Andrew Thomas. And here's one that was called on Christian Darrisaw, and this is on a 4th-and-1 play with about 12 minutes to go in the game. Vikings down 3. They're on the Giants' 16-yard line, 4th-and-1, and here's a really devastating false start.
How many bodies they have in there?
Quarterback sneak.
Oh, they jumped. They jumped.
You're right. It's coming back. It's on Minnesota.
False start, offense, number 71, 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, and Christian Darrisaw's had a really good year, and I think really has established himself as a Pro Bowl caliber tackle along with Brian O'Neill. But this was not his finest moment in the 2022 season. This false start, when you're at home, you can sort of understand it on the road with the crowd noise, but you're at home. You can't do that on 4th-and-1, and your quarterback picks up a first down. It's going to be 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. If you go in at that point, you're going to go up 4 in this game. That could change the dynamics of the game, the Giants' approach, but they have to settle for a Greg Joseph field goal. The good news with Greg Joseph, he was perfect on the day. He was 4 for 4 on his kicks, 3 PATs, and the field goal.
What a silver lining.
Yeah, that's a silver lining with the special teams, exactly. And although Jalen Reagor did fumble, but Chris Boyd recovered. Greg Joseph, another free agent, a guy that I think they're going to need to re-sign. He had
I was
a
gonna
good
ask you
season
this.
overall. He did have all those missed extra points more early in the season, got better there. Of course, had the great 61-yard club record field goal against the Giants the first time, had the great kick in London to beat the Saints. He had 5 game-winning field goals. I think you have to re-sign this guy and keep working with him to become even more consistent on those PATs and some of those long field goals. But so at this point, 24-24, and the Giants, they're resilient too.
Yeah.
And they're facing a suspect Vikings defense that put a little more pressure on the second half. I've called a few more blitzes by Donatel. But again, they're just they're under-schemed and they're undermanned. And so not a good combination. And here we went. Daniel Jones, as we mentioned, had a really great day, both running and throwing. Here was a quarterback sneak by Daniel Jones that helped set up their last touchdown.
Actually, they didn't have that on the NFL highlights. So what I went to grab is the following.
Oh, that's right. The following play by Jones. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So we got Saquon Barkley stumbling in here for his second touchdown of the game.
Yes, exactly.
Barkley muscling forward. Barkley, what an effort, and he is in. Touchdown, New York.
How strong is he, by the way?
His legs,
yeah.
They could churn butter in a matter of minutes. He could pull Mack trucks. Yeah, it's crazy how good he is.
He bowled over Dalvin Tomlinson there, who's a 30-pound defensive tackle. Saquon Barkley, great player. It will be interesting to see the Giants against the Eagles this week. The Eagles with a much better defense than the Vikings. They're a top 5 defense in the league, and we'll see how they handle Jones and Barkley. So Giants up 31-24 at this point, 7:47 left in the ball game. And the Vikings are able to, the Giants have first the Vikings go 3 and out, not good. Then the Giants take some time off the clock, but the Vikings get the ball back, 2:56 to go, and they're driving, but get bogged down, 3rd and 8. Mentioned before, Cousins throws it a little behind Osborne. It's broken up, sets up this 4th and 8 play. Cousins trying to hit TJ Hawkinson well short of the sticks.
4th and 8, game on the line. Cousins, Hawkinson, he is not going to get there, and the Giants will take over.
I think the worst thing about that, and I'll play it one more time just so you can maybe hear it, the announcer acts like he's inches from getting the first down. Not even close. Let's do this one more time.
4th and 8, game on the line. Cousins, Hawkinson, he is not going to get there, and the Giants will take over.
And you can see Dexter Lawrence is bowling over Ezra Cleveland, and he's coming bearing down on Kirk. But even still, as we said, just throw it up to Justin.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the season. So let's hear from the head coach, Kevin O'Connell.
We didn't get it done tonight, and I told them how proud I am of the way they battled, the way they responded all year long to what we asked of them as coaches. It's one of the closest connected groups in the entire NFL. These guys, there's real tears in there. There's real guys that expected to really have a chance to win a world championship, and you got to give the Giants a lot of credit. Just didn't do enough in the end to win the football game, and we'll have to take a long, hard look at every aspect of what we do to make sure we give ourselves the ability to continue to strive to compete at a championship level, and that's what we'll begin working on immediately. I could have done a better job in the moment. He knew it was 4th down, and he just didn't want. He wanted to make sure he put the ball in play. I got to go back. I was watching some of the routes down the field, kind of materialize, and the pocket may or may not have been collapsing on him, and he just wanted to make sure he gave somebody a chance, and they made a play. Had some double coverage to Justin on that drive, and trying to have KJ come to life, trying to have Adam come to life, and we'll take a long, hard look at it. Our 2-minute offense has been pretty darn good all season, helping us, and in the end we didn't get it done on that drive. And
so let's hear from Kirk Cousins on his take on that ill-advised last throw.
Yeah, just a shell read there. Saw single high. Tried to work Justin. Didn't feel good about putting it up to Justin. And then when I went to progress, I just felt like I was about to get sacked, and I felt like I got to put the ball in play. And if I take, I can't go down with a sack. So I just thought I'd kick it out to TJ. And I had thrown short of the sticks on a few occasions in the game, and even going back a few weeks, and just felt like, just throwing it short of the sticks isn't the end of the world. It's just, it's obviously tight coverage, so didn't have the chance to pull away. But I just felt like I was going to go down and take a sack if I didn't put it out.
So let's hear from our great sponsor before we hear from a couple more Vikings players, and then talk a little bit about the other games over the weekend. How about Jacksonville? And the Chargers blow a 27-0 lead. Oh, my goodness. Is Brandon Staley, the coach, going to survive that? But talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. It's time to visit your Select Minnesota GMC dealers and hit the turf in a truck that's designed to tackle the toughest proving grounds. That's the GMC Sierra SLE. It's bold, precise, and capable. Sierra comes standard with a 2.7-liter turbo high-output engine, delivering 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Or call a winning play with an available 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And when it comes to comfort and refinement, climb in and discover the convenience of the standard 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. And don't forget, Sierra is truly the MVP with the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate. It's the new year, a great time to step up to the professional grade season. The Vikings had a great year, unfortunately cut short, but test drive a new GMC Sierra SLE today. The year's best selection is available now at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers or online at TwinCitiesBuickGMC.com. So let's hear from Justin Jefferson, and one of the big stories to follow this offseason is going to be his contract and his gigantic extension that's probably going to be $30 million or more a year, which he deserves as the top receiver in the NFL, who should have been targeted on the last couple of series, and especially those last 2 throws. Oh, my goodness. Okay, here's JJ.
Yeah, we accomplished things that nobody thought we would accomplish. Having 11 close wins, winning 13 games for the season, making the playoffs. So we did things that a lot of people didn't think we were going to do from the start of the season. So, we're proud about that. Definitely not proud about, losing tonight and not being able to go on in the playoffs.
You guys have been so good at winning close games and coming back in the fourth quarters. What didn't allow you to do that tonight? What kept you from getting over that hump?
I'm not really sure. I don't really know at this moment.
What was the message after the game?
It was a long season. We all leaned on each other throughout the year. It's most likely going to be the last time this whole team plays together as one. So it's really just accepting, who's in this locker room, the amount of memories we had together, the amount of, close games we came together. So it's definitely going to be tough, not seeing some of these faces in the locker room next year, but it's tough it had to end this way.
And from the defensive perspective, let's hear from linebacker Jordan Hicks.
Yeah, they weren't as simple. And again, like I said, the quarterback run game is part of it. And when they can get guys out on the perimeter and scheme it up for them. They didn't show that last time, and we knew that was coming into the game. It was just a matter of how.
So, as we said, looking ahead to 2023, draft will be coming up in April. Vikings need defensive help. We'll see what they do with their coaching staff, especially Ed Donatel, the coordinator. It's not going to be easy to repeat as NFC North champs because the Lions are coming on. They won 7 of their last 9 games. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers is going to be back, people. He's not going to give up $58 million. He'll be playing for Green Bay. The Bears have the number 1 pick in the draft. They got a ways to go, but they'll be taking a top defensive player. The schedule is not as easy next year. How about this group coming to U.S. Bank Stadium? San Francisco, Kansas City, the Chargers, Tampa Bay. That's some pretty heavyweight teams.
No, thank you.
On the road, they have to go to Philly and Cincinnati. Of course, they play their NFC North opponents home and away.
I feel like they never play Philly here.
No, that's right.
It does. I don't get why.
It doesn't seem like that. It's just the way it flows sometimes. Yeah. Crazy. And as we said, exciting weekend. Jacksonville with their big comeback. See if Brandon Staley survives in at the Chargers. I don't think he should with his crazy fourth down calls.
You think he should just book his trip to Thailand right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he could be the next defensive coordinator here.
Ooh.
He was a good defensive coordinator at the Rams, and even though his defenses weren't great in LA, he's also a good buddy of Kevin O'Connell. Keep an eye on that. The Buffalo and Cincinnati won as expected. They were closer games against their division opponents than expected, especially against backup quarterbacks, and they will meet on Sunday in the early game. That's going to be a great matchup. Unfortunately for Cincinnati, it's in Buffalo because of the cardiac arrest situation of Damar Hamlin. Sounds like he's doing well, which we're happy about. But that game being postponed may have cost Cincinnati, certainly makes them have to go to Buffalo. But I salute Joe Burrow. He says, hey, we just got to get it done wherever we got to get it done.
Yeah.
And San Francisco, they're rolling. They won their 11th straight over Seattle. I think they would have been really tough for the Vikings to beat if they had gotten to that game next week. It would have been nice to have a chance.
Yeah.
But not to be the case. So
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Exactly right. So we say goodbye for the 2022 season and the 2022-23 postseason, and we hope to be with you again next fall with more of Jeff Diamond's Purple Report. I think it's going to be a good 2023 season for the Vikings. Get some reinforcements on defense. That offense is loaded. Be exciting to see what happens in the offseason coming up. So this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you today, every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN and available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond with AJ Fredrickson. Thanks for joining us this season, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.